Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we have a channel debut for the Deathwatch, as we discuss a veteran's end of service, and with his return to the chapter, the burdens that can bring. Spoiler warning to begin, the events we are discussing today are from the short story Swordwind by Ian St. Martin. As always, I really recommend you read the story for yourself first, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself. Not only that, we help to support the great Games Workshop and Black Library, because without them we don't have this amazing lore to talk about. I'll put a link in the description as always. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. The Deathwatch, the elite Xeno chapter, forged of veteran Astartes from across the Imperium. Virtually all chapters have the agreement of the Deathwatch tithe, to provide their quota of veterans for the Long Watch. To the Ultramarines it is the Accord Eternus, to the White Scars the Cardum Pact, and for all Ultima founding chapters the agreement was installed upon their very creation. But regardless of the names or even the length of service, there will come a time, should they survive, that the Marines will return to their original chapter. And this is something I've always been curious about. How do they return? How are they received by their former brothers? And how do they feel? While we don't get everything answered, we do get some answers in this short story. It follows Brother Adoni of the Mortifactors chapter, as he journeys on his return back to his original chapter. His service with the Deathwatch ended, and as he journeys we are intermingled with memories of his final battle within their service. His kill team's boarding torpedo hurtling through space before crashing into its target, bursting its way through the hull. This enemy has razed 13 Imperial worlds, but now, finally, the Deathwatch has caught up to them. 2 of the 4 kill teams are destroyed before they even reach the enemy vessel, leaving Adoni's strike force to take command. A usual mix of chapters makes up the rest of the squad: a Death Spectre, an Imperial Fist, and a Space Wolf, to name but a few. But unusually, he has a brother of the Mortifactors with him, Sobor. And this is highly unusual. Deathwatch are recruited from chapters across the Imperium. To end up together in a kill team is unheard of. And as Adoni and Sobor burst into the Xeno vessel, the Eldar are upon them. And as you might expect in boarding an enemy craft, the fighting is intense. The Space Wolf, falling amidst the carnage, is left with grenade in hand to ensure his last moment is well spent. A perfect example of the dedication the Deathwatch possess. By the time they reach the bridge, only Sobor and Adoni remain. But here, their quarry awaits: the Eldar Witch. The battle is fierce and the witch is finally slain, thanks only to the sacrifice of Sobor, his armour virtually blasted from his body as he plunged his sword through the back of the Eldar Farseer, saving his brother with the last of his energy, his final breath spent, forcing Adoni to swear oath to returning his blade to the chapter. And so, in returning to the present day, an Inquisition vessel, Crystal Saint, docks with the Mortifactors frigate, the Endless Night. And it's a very sombre moment. No glorious ceremony, no fond farewell, just Adoni walking through the docking clamp from one vessel to the other. Now, I'm sure of course there was some form of ceremonial farewell before, but this image is quite powerful, especially when you consider the fate of the rest of his kill team, most of all his lost chapter brother. A Marine's time with the Deathwatch is all about their duty, and with his duty done, he simply now returns to his chapter. And the bond within a normal Astartes chapter is of course strong, but Adoni having left the chapter and been united together within a kill team, you get the sense he must truly have lost his best friend here. The Mortifactor's ship heads in system, following something known as the Sundered Path, the devastation left by Hive Fleet Leviathan, as it devastated the Mortifactor's homeworld, their fortress monastery hanging in orbit of the dead world. And as the ship comes into dock, Adoni looks down to the objects he still holds firmly in his grasp, a small iron box, and the sword given to him by Sobor's last breath. The bulkhead doors open, and the scent of death rolls in like a wave from the dark. The Mortifactors, for anyone not too familiar with the chapter, hold the dead in an almost state of reverence. And there's a great little passage which shows not only this, but the effect it has on the returning sun of the chapter. I breathe deeply, inhaling the dead of my chapter. My lungs fill with the bone dust of fallen Mortifactors that coats the monastery like snow. I feel the strength of those who have found death course through me. The glorious dead and I are one again. The sun of the Mortifactors is home once more, but it really makes you wonder how such different chapters adapt to life within the Deathwatch. What common threads are found of kinship between a kill team? Or does the mask of duty suffice, bonding these different Space Marines with the common thread that they all hold, no matter what chapter they hail from? Their duty to the Imperium. Greeted by a brother by the name of Astador, who spies the box and sword within Adoni's hands, he informs him that the chapter master awaits. Brother Adoni returns, says Magyar, chapter master of the Mortifactors. I kneel, armoured in the black and bone, left fist pressed to the tombstone floor, right to my chest in salute. He sees me, expecting Sobor to have survived, not the line brother of just 3 crusades. I could seek venom in the words, but I will not. I agree with him. What I would not give for death to have stolen me into its embrace, for a champion to return to inspire the rebuilding of our chapter. Magyar sits in the gloom of the Gallery of Bone, his throne carved from skeletons of chapter heroes. Pale slugs of scar tissue pucker his face, old wounds unlike the purple lightning that covers my albino flesh. He wears exquisite Terminator armour, carved from bone, its silvered hue matching his dreadlocked hair and forked beard, the very image of death incarnate. Dark armoured Terminators flank him, looking upon me from behind death masks, carved to resemble howling Flen's skulls. Astador stands a step below the throne. Magyar's skeletal winged familiar sits perched upon its master, clicking against his plate with clattering claws as it chitters into his ear. Sobor was of the first company, eminent even among the heroes of the Mortifactor's veteran elite. Magyar holds Sobor's sword in one hand. In the other, taken from the case and presented to him, is Sobor's skull. The chapter master's features are impassive, save the faintest tightening in his jaw. And you will say nothing. It is not a question. One word makes me an oath breaker. My eyes remain on the headstones, oaths kept for more than my honour. I hate the words I must speak. Everything within me cries out to proclaim the saga of the brother who cast his life aside to save mine. Tell me, Magyar's eyes leave the sword to regard me. Were you there when he fell? I remember the night I swore my oath to the Inquisition, never to speak of what I had done, what I had seen. The Inquisitor swore one in return, swearing what measures he would take against oathbreakers. His pet witch touched my mind to show me. Worlds burning, fortress monasteries in ruin, entire chapters wading their fleets into the roiling nightmare of the eye. And this is something that I think gets forgotten all too much when talking of the Deathwatch, that these Marines can never speak again of what their service entails. Here we have Adoni bringing back the remains of not only one of his friends, but a hero of the chapter, who sold his life in the most heroic fashion possible. And yet, that sacrifice must go unremembered, because he swore an oath to the Inquisition. And were he to break that, the Inquisition would break the chapter. And this really goes to show you the extremes that the Inquisition goes to. If one Marine, just one, is to break his oath, then they will bring ruin to his entire chapter. Man, that is crazy to think about. We have seen other chapters go to war with the Inquisition before for different reasons, such as the Space Wolves. But man, it really makes me want to see a storyline based on one Marine breaking his oath for the best possible reasons, only to have an army of the Inquisition turn up to exact its revenge. How would the Inquisition react if it was, say, the Ultramarines? Even more so now with the return of the Primarch. Or perhaps another major chapter, such as the Blood Angels and Dante. Man, it's a great question to ponder. But back to the story. I look up at Magyar, holding the gaze burning within his coal dark mask of scar tissue. You know what they will do. He makes to reply, but his jaw sets and he says nothing. The Mortifactor's Lord rises, the bulk of his Terminator plate doing nothing to restrain his predatory grace. He stands over me, torchlight playing flickering shadows over his face. Rise, he says. Adoni, you have returned a fallen brother and this prized weapon of our chapter. The blade shall be restored with honour amongst our relics. Sobor will join the fallen, interred within our monastery. His spirit is at rest by returning him here. I stand. You honour me, brother. Indeed. Sobor's death resides in you. Magyar clasps my shoulder. Honour him. Your memories are all the tomb his legend shall have. Chaplain, Magyar regards Astador. Assemble the Brotherhood. We have fallen to honour once more. And, well, there we have it. A lost brother being honoured once more by returning him home. But as much as even the chapter master wishes to know his fate, even he won't push the question. Is it for the honour of the oath sworn, or the risk of the reprisal by the Inquisition? Again, it's another interesting question to ponder. And for me, I think it may be the wrath of the Inquisition that is staying his hand. And I really think this is a perfect example of something that happens so often across the Imperium. So many veteran brothers returning to their chapter, having performed their service to the Deathwatch in nothing short of a heroic manner. Yet none will ever know, and they can never speak of the horrors they have seen and the heroics they have performed. Is that fair? And does it truly make sense? The chapters across the Imperium are facing demons all the time, let alone Xenos, which is the main focus of the Deathwatch. Why is there such secrecy enforced? Does it not make sense that the experience they gain would be better shared with chapters across the Imperium, rather than kept in secret? As always guys, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support really means a lot to me, it truly does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off and I'll see you all again real soon.